In today's video, we're going to talk about what the freaking hell is happening at DC Studios. Is there a new DC universe, or is it just a rehashed version of the current DCEU? Well, I would say it's part of both. It's kind of a new universe, but pretty much the old universe kind of rehashed. But wait. Listen to everything I say first, because I do support the new universe, and I think in theory, DC could be a major player in the next 2 to 3 years. So, yo, what is freaking good YouTube? We're Stu here with a video on what the freaking hell's happening with DC Studios, because at the moment, it doesn't even look like the studio knows that themselves. They don't even have social media for DC Studios. So they want to act like they're an independent studio with absolutely nothing to do with Warner Bros. Discovery, although we know David Zaslav is telling them what to do to a certain degree, because that's just what you do when you're in charge of the overall company. But it would be so much better if James Gunn, Pete Safran, someone at DC Studios made independent social media for DC Studios, and then they started to promote their movies, rather than having to rely on the American Warner Bros. Pictures account to promote everything, because we've got Blue Beetle coming out soon. And I only just realized the other day that even though that I live in the middle of nowhere, there was actually posters for Blue Beetle. So fair enough, lads and ladettes. So if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, Kaiju, Monsterverse, pop culture based content that I talk about on a daily basis. If you could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know. Are you Team DC? Are you Team Snyderverse? Are you Team Gunverse? Or do you just want DC to make good movies and not have this whole, we've got to rush to make a connected universe, because that's realistically what got us in this problem in the first place. So if you could check us out on Instagram, that wish you to see a beautiful face behind a beautiful voice. And also if you could check us out on x.com, aka Twitter, wish you G. Right. Let's get into this. So, James Gunn keeps catching himself in controversy. We are going to full-scale... Okay, to be fair, he never actually said full-scale reboot, but he has contradicted himself no end of time. So he said, some things will stay the same, some things may change, some things that didn't work may go, some things that did work may stay. So, Gal Gadot comes out and it's like, yeah, I'm on board for Wonder Woman 3. Okay. Her last movie, Wonder Woman 1984, came out in 2020, turned over 169 million at the box office. And I know what you're gonna say, but get here. Irrelevant. Absolute. Oh, but it did well on HBO Max. Here, that's absolutely irrelevant. So, Gal Gadot is a very similar age to Henry Cavill, but Henry Cavill's Superman movies didn't do well. Okay. Man of Steel made money. Batman vs. Superman, very controversial. It still made money. Wonder Woman, she's cameoed with her little music intro in Shazam 2, flop. Flash, flop. I feel like they're overusing her music. So, new universe, let's cast a bunch of younger people in it. That was the plan. But then you look at David Korsner, who is a very good actor, who just happens to look like Henry Cavill, but Henry Cavill happens to look like Superman, so that's kind of respective. So, he is 31 years old. Henry Cavill is pushing 40. But let's be honest, it is double standards, because Henry Cavill does not look that old. I don't care what anyone says, he doesn't look that old. Okay, he's 40, right? So there's 9 years between them, give or take. But realistically, whatever the plan is with Superman Legacy, they could really rejiggle it if they wanted to keep him there. If they wanted to keep him as the Superman going forward, they could have done that. So, one of the few industry insiders who I believe actually has real information backed up Grace Randolph. So, I don't subscribe to anyone's Patreon because I'm not a simp. But on Daniel's RPK's Patreon, Superman Legacy will be part of a conflict in the Middle East. Okay, Grace Randolph never stops missing. So what did Grace Randolph said? Here we go. Superman Legacy, conflict in the Middle East. Superman wants to stop it one way or another. Lex Luthor is trying to negotiate peace his own way. The Authority was a misdirect. Clever. It's actually a GSA type movie, or the actual GSA movie. So it's basically Black Adam 2.0. Why do I bring this point up? Because it's supposed to be a soft reboot. This sounds like Black Adam 2.0. Now, for some reason, James Gunn could have worked with The Rock and Seven Bucks Productions, because the JSA members in Black Adam were very good. That was a very good movie. Just financially didn't do well, but it did better than Shazam 2. It did better than The Flash. Did better than like the last 6 DC movies. So if James Gunn wasn't so fixated on doing everything his way, although it's not just his way, you've also got Pete Safran. And although they keep saying it's an independent studio, David Zaslav is running the show. Hence why we are getting the GSA members in Superman Legacy, because it helped tell a better Superman story, which I'm not buying it. Now we've got Daniel RPK backing up the Middle East story. And I guess you could say, oh, just because parts of the movie take place in the Middle East, it doesn't mean it's Black Adam 2.0. Black Adam was basically in the Middle East for most of the movie. It is fascinating how there's this, some bits will stay, some bits won't. And even with the Blue Beetle, if the Blue Beetle movie does well, maybe the character can and the actor can stay in the new DC. I call it a DC Extended Universe still, because it's not actually a new universe, because I keep saying, you have Amanda Waller here. She's the connective tissue between the old Suicide Squad, the new Suicide Squad that released in 2021. She was also in Black Adam post-credit scene to be like, yeah, here's Superman. Yeah, here's Black Adam. So is Amanda Waller randomly going to appear in front of the new Superman, David Corsonet? Like I said, I've got nothing against the new plan. It's just, to me, it doesn't actually seem like much of a plan, because it doesn't seem very coherent. And I understand when there's new plans and new ideas, you've got to take risks. Creature Comforts, just like Peacemaker, was a risk. Would Peacemaker have done so well with John Cena if it was a movie? We don't know. Peacemaker did very well on streaming. But Creature Comforts, does anyone have any genuine interest in this cartoon animated series that comes out next year? At least that didn't. It's already been finalized. Cool story, bro. So you're just saying that so you can actually keep working on it. So I put a post up saying no one cares about that, and people are like, you don't care. It's like, well, I don't care because it makes no sense to kick off a new universe with that, but it doesn't really kick off the new universe. The new universe kicks off, it's getting confusing even for me. The new universe kicks off with Superman Legacy, although the Blue Beetle actor and character is part of the new universe, but it doesn't properly kick in till Superman Legacy, which was slated to come out in 2025. During these strikes, I doubt they're going to start shooting early next year, unless the strikes end in the next few months. It could end Hollywood as we actually know it. So this whole DC universe, James Gunn verse, I'm fully committed to whatever is happening in the new DCU, because we don't even know if it is a new DCU, because if Peacemaker is canon, if the Suicide Squad's canon, that means everything else was canon. James Gunn actually said in an interview promo, The Flash reboots the new universe. Well, The Flash didn't actually reboot anything, so we're technically still in the new universe, except for we're randomly going to have a new Superman and Batman with no explainer, yet have the same Wonder Woman. Don't get me wrong, Gals is fine as Wonder Woman. So I do find it fascinating and hilarious how a lot of people in the comments like, you're such a James Gunn hater. Literally, go on to Instagram.com/warstew. I praise the Suicide Squad movie heavily. I think it's a very good movie. But do I think James Gunn can be ahead of a studio? Co-head, sorry. That is a completely different story. He's a good director. Not so good at writing, if you ask me, because if you go back and rewatch Guardians 1, 2, 3, it's not great. The new Superman and the new Batman movie, they need to be epic. They need to be great. They can't just be fine, because you've got to try and convince the whole world that DC is back again. And people are like, yo, it's another new Superman, it's another new Batman. After already confusing people, put in George Clooney Batman at the end of the Flash movie, and that's literally everywhere, to the point where people keep asking, and James Gunn's like, no, he's not the new Batman. So why did you put him in there for nostalgia? I still don't understand why you didn't keep the Batfleck scene in, because the Flash movie doesn't really mean anything, so you didn't really have to change anything. Because we were technically misled that the Flash movie was going to set everything up. So the main conflict in Superman Legacy is going to be in the Middle East, and it's apparently just going to be like Black Adam. So when I keep saying, do they actually have a plan? I don't know if they have a plan, but do they need a plan? Not really. It should be independent movies that have some kind of connective tissue via Easter eggs or references, and they should have released a Batman movie first, then done a Superman movie, and done it that way round. It really does seem to me like James Gunn is literally taking everything that made the Snyderverse good, but slightly changing the heritage. Slightly. So we know James Gunn is going to balance his Kryptonian heritage, much better than any other version of Superman, apparently. And information keeps coming out, and James Gunn is famous for trying to debunk this stuff. He hasn't debunked anything recently for anything. So I don't understand why they just didn't keep the original Justice Society of America that was introduced in Black Adam and use them characters to help tell a better Superman story. And I don't understand why they didn't come to some agreement to bring The Rock back, because for everyone saying The Rock did bad, he actually did good because he listened to the audience, which the old regime at Warner Bros. Didn't do. And it doesn't appear like Gunn's doing. Gunn can keep saying, yeah, it's all about the story. It's all about the story. Is it just going to be an emotional Superman story? Because that is not what people want. They actually want a badass Superman, not a badass Superman who just saves cats and trees and tries to say, no, don't do it. I will only fight if I really have to. Nobody wants a soft Superman. We really don't. And seeing as these superheroes are already going to be established in this universe and it's not really an origin, I can't understand where the freaking hell this universe is going. Realistically, no one cares for these little side projects. The Authority could be cool, but I think it's going to miss. I think the Superman Legacy will probably do okay, and the Batman Brave and the Bold will do okay, but I really hope Andy Muschietti doesn't direct it, to be honest. So, yeah, let me know. Is it a DCEU reboot? I don't actually think it is. We don't actually know, and it's basically confirmed now that James Gunn has said to David Ayer, the Suicide Squad cut will be coming out at some point, which is cool. But again, if that happens, that's going to confuse people. Unless it gets released as an Elseworld story on Max or in the cinema on limited run, it really is confusing people what the freaking hell's going on, because there is a huge backlash, and it was also trending that James Gunn was a hypocrite because, yeah, he's like, yeah, Henry Cavill, you're too old, but Gal, you're not. But Amanda Waller, you're cool, but Peacemaker, you're cool. Anyone I use in my own projects, you're cool, but anyone else, you're not cool unless I like you, kind of thing. It's freaking interesting for me. I love covering this stuff. And I'm not a James Gunn hater for any of you people down below. I just question him. You can be a supporter of something and still question something. You can review something and still say it's a good movie, but still question why the hell certain parts happened of a certain movie. I don't actually think there is a DCEU reset or reboot, if you like. It's just the same universe, but different. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Wish you to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice. Check us out on x.com, aka Twitter. The Wish you G, and I will get you in another video very soon. Catch you later.